Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Some people are just incapable of being adequate, especially when it comes to parking spaces. So before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. My apartment neighbor and my parking spot. In my apartment complex, each unit has 2 parking spots in front of it, albeit they were unmarked spots. My building was working fine with each of us using our allocated 2 spots until a new tenant arrived. He and his girlfriend had 3 cars, 2 work trucks and her sedan. Now, we told him that each unit only has 2 spots for cars and to use only those 2 spots. He said okay, and the first week was fine. Then they started taking up one of my neighbor's spots, which pushed my neighbor into my spots if they got home before us. We went to the new tenant and reiterated the 2 spot per unit rule. He said that he has to keep his work truck close by at all times, so we told him to either move his personal truck or her sedan to the free parking the next lot over. He said that his personal truck was too nice to leave a lot away, so we told him to leave her car over there. He said he didn't want her walking an extra couple hundred feet. So he kept parking there, and so began our parking war. I'd get home early, and they'd all still be in the same spot from the morning. As I bumped into him at the mailbox, I asked if they ever work. He said, yeah, my coworker comes and picks me up every day. Can you believe this guy? We had to get management involved since he wouldn't surrender our parking spot. He said if he can't have 3 spots, then he'll leave. Our apartment manager said, no, we don't want that. You can have your 3 spots. She then told me to find another lot to park in. I've lived here for 2 years prior to this C moving in. I'm not giving up my spot. He finally moved out of my spot one day. My wife called me at work. I came home immediately and parked there, then rode my bicycle back to work. So to sum it up, my wife and I left our cars there, and I rode my bike to work. He got so mad that he had to park a lot over that he broke his contract and moved away. And our second story. You want to one-up your friendly neighbor? Alrighty then. A few years ago, I used to work at a toy store. The store mainly focused on high-priced and European-made toys. One of our big sellers in the toy store is Sylvanian Families, SF. They're basically little animal figures that you can buy accessories and houses and stuff for them. Think of them as expensive doll houses. They're from Europe, and they can be pretty expensive. The store's in an area where the families have a high disposable income. As in, quite often you see Mercedes, Porsches, BMWs, Audis, and Ferraris inhabiting the parking spaces. Well, as you'd expect, with high disposable income comes that real keeping up with the Joneses mentality. One-upping is rife in this area. Toys are no exception. SF are hot items for parents to use as a way to determine their child's social status, so the bigger the collection, the bigger their kid is in the rich fish pool. I know the family with the biggest SF collection belongs to a little girl about 7 whose mother works for the Japanese embassy. The father's a lecturer, so a big money family. This family, I'll call the Jays, are the most kind and sweethearted family in existence. They pay top dollar for their little daughter, and she's so sweet and humble when she wants to chat with us. It's a delight when they shop here. We also know that their neighbors are the exact opposite. I don't know what the husband does, but the wife, I'm sure, is a moocher. Think Peggy Bundy from Married with Children? In fact, that's what I'll call this mother. Whatever the Jay's daughter had, Peggy's 8-year-old tyrant had to have one more or better quality. Actually, whatever the Jays have, she demands to do one better. Peggy is honestly the type that if Mrs. J came down with a cold, she'd run naked from her house in the dead of winter straight into the hospital ICU in the hope she'd contract pneumonia. Anyway, Peggy must have heard that the Jay's daughter was given some SF as a birthday present. They did. They spent about $90. This was about a week before Peggy's arrival to settle the score. Peggy flew into the store like a misguided menopausal missile, zooming across the western section of the store before detonating in the upper atmosphere that is the central part of the store with a velociraptor-like shriek. Peggy: "Where are the Sylvanian families?" Me: "In the eastern section of the store." I point to a pyramid of SF toys, most of them recent arrivals, and she may as well been the alien queen finding Ellen Ripley. She power marched over to the pyramid and scanned each and every one. She snapped her fingers at me. Peggy, you, here, now. Not a lot of things get up my goat, but finger snapping at me like I'm a dog is definitely one of them. I suck it up and see what she wants to buy. I know she's buying, and buying big. Me, found something you like? Peggy, how much did the Jays spend on their daughter's SF? Me, I don't know, 90 bucks? You can hear the Jeopardy theme go in her head as she's working out how to top 90 quid on a SF present. Peggy, well then, my son is turning 9 in a month, and I want his collection to be better than Jay's daughter's collection. Me, okay. This was a Friday and is generally one of our days where head office demands that we reach a high sales target. We had a slow day up until this point, and unless we had a miracle money bag drop on us from on high, we were not going to reach close to that day's budget. It's company policy to recommend toys to parents, but not to make an effort to deliberately gouge them. A lot of the high-income earners in the area could be a real Scrooge and didn't take kindly to us trying to proverbially cut open the bottoms of their wallets. I also wanted to make budget to finish the week on a high, so I decided to take advantage of Peggy's one-upmanship game. Her 8-year-old status meant everything to her, so I gambled on gouging her wallet to plump up my budget and her not noticing. Peggy, let's see, $90. $90. Me, ma'am, allow me to show you some of the SF toys I know the Jays don't have. Peggy immediately feasted her attention onto me as I pointed the new releases. Some of them I knew had been bought by the Jays, but hey, a little white lie every now and then never hurt, right? I assumed she was going to go for a $100 purchase, but no, I was wrong. She snapped up families, their accessories, houses, shops, schools, all the new releases, even bought multiples of some of the smaller packs when I suggested some packs work better when you have doubles of them. Jesus, I left the $100 limit server long ago. Peggy keeps piling up the trolley. At this point, she's not even bothering to look at them. She's not even listening to me. If it's SF, it goes in the trolley. She's gone into an autopilot frenzy. Peggy's eroded so much of the pyramid that she discovers what we've been using to form the pyramid shape, the SF windmill houses. Oh boy, $250 for one of these. She takes 2. Our once great pyramid has been ravaged by a Category 5 Hurricane Peggy. We all thought the Sphinx of Giza's nose getting blown off was a disaster. The state of our SF pyramid was a catastrophe. By this point, I'm hoping she buys all she has grabbed because it would be a royal pain to put the pyramid back together. I ring all the toys up. It's $890. I tell her the amount and Peggy huffs and steams up like a busted gasket. Peggy, no, that's not good enough. She marches back to the pyramid, takes another SF accessory pack, and has me ring that up as well. It's over $900. The beast is fed. Peggy, $90? Try $900. I win! Against Jay's daughter, maybe I can see the logic in that, but in terms of outright spending, she got beaten a month later. A hoity-toity from the French embassy bought just over $1.5 grand of SF and dollhouses. They were much nicer than Peggy as well. As for my budget, the $900 injection went a long way to clearing it. Do I regret gouging Peggy's finances? Nope. Did her husband's? Yes. He carted one of the windmills and a whole pile of them back to the store on the following Monday and furiously demanded a refund, which we didn't do unless there was a fault or breakage on our end. I didn't work that day, but one of the managers I hated did, so her having to deal with that inferno made it all the more sweeter. Edit. I forgot to mention that Peggy paid for it on her husband's Amex, which attracts a 2% surcharge. And our last story. We won't get our earnest back? Fine. We won't be able to satisfy requirements for closing. My wife and I decided to finally purchase a home in Southern California. A brand new, decked-out 4-bedroom home that really felt like something we didn't deserve. We gave in an earnest deposit of $10,000 towards an escrow account, which would then go into the closing costs. The closing period we requested was mid-September. Meanwhile, my wife's employer informed her that her team may go through some corporate restructuring and she may be axed. Nothing big, it happens in her industry at times, with all likelihood that she would simply transfer to another team. However, what makes our situation tricky is that we're on a work visa, which means finding another job and filing legal paperwork can be very dicey. With this development and our general desire to seek out better opportunities abroad, we were getting nervous about this commitment. We informed the builder and their lender that we're contemplating canceling the loan because of this situation, and we'd like our earnest deposit. We never assumed it'll be easy, but we're hopeful someone would hear us out. We immediately got told by the sales agent that since our deposit has been in escrow for more than 30 days, and since we have a conditional loan approval, we won't get our deposit back. The lender was very understanding, but for some reason was anxious to have us cancel the loan and said that she would be happy to work with me on future loans. I was a bit suspect since he was the builder's lender, he would always back the builder. I told him to hold off since I didn't want to cancel before I fight to get my deposit back. We requested the sales agent to reconsider and talk to her superiors, even offering to mediate a call between my wife's manager and them to understand the impact. The seller was under the opinion that unless she gets a pink slip, we don't qualify to get our money back. We started panicking, but looking through the purchase agreement, where we found a clause that if we failed to get financing, the buyer, us, is eligible for a refund. When a few back and forth emails didn't help, the seller agent simply asked if we'd like to sign the cancellation agreement. The date was July 31st, closing was a bit more than 45 days away. I realized that while we would fight tooth and nail, our worst case scenario is we lose $10K. Whether it's on July 31st or we lose during closing, it's the same to us. However, if we keep the agreement on without canceling, only for us to fail at closing, the seller can't find another buyer despite knowing that we won't be closing. I emailed her saying that we're confident that we won't meet financing, which is requirement for maintenance of escrow during closing, but we desire to continue with the closing date of mid-September and not cancel. This means worst case we lose $10K in September. Worst case for the seller, they can't find another buyer till then. We immediately, within 10 minutes, got told that we are getting our deposit back. We were ecstatic. We felt sorry that we weren't able to close on our home, but we didn't want to be in a bad loan and put everyone else under stress. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.